Hi, I'm Tatiana and I'm here with IDX, the media partner of Retail Supply Chain Logistics Expo in London. Today I'm thrilled to be talking with the brightest minds in the logistics industry, giving you insider access, expert tips and answers to the questions everyone is wondering in the industry right now. Hi and welcome. My name is Tatiana Anders from IDX and I'm here at Retail Supply Chain Expo in London with the lovely Justus from NeX. Justus, you specialize in connecting like-minded partners across borders with your company.
Right.
What are the key qualities you look for in a partner that will create long-term relationship?
Well, basically, we have a quite strict vetting process that we have in place. It is depending on the vertical that you're applying for, as we're covering the whole supply chain across e-commerce cross-border. So it could be customs brokers, it could be fulfillment operators, last mile providers, you name it. When they apply, we have a group of consultants that looking deep into the profession of that company. Are they really capable of being a member and becoming a global partner of the network? And there's different criteria for the different verticals. If, however, someone is failing the vetting process, you can still join the network and be an associate partner, where we're offering gateways through our NeX Academy program or the Global Academy program, where they can train and learn and educate themselves to become a global partner in the end.
Brilliant. For brands that are expanding internationally, what are the most common mistakes you see them make just in the logistics department?
I think basically the common mistake that the SMEs do when they're trying to sell overseas is that they don't know how the logistics in the market works, which is totally fine because how would they?
Yeah.
But then the usual way they do is they going with the leading marketplace in the country, right? So you going on Amazon or Boohoo or whatever is the marketplace in that area. And then they usually lead logistics services, unless they're already having a contract with a global integrator like DHL or UPS. Now, they're having two issues with going with a logistics service from the marketplace. And one is the complete lack of visibility, as they will only get that data what the marketplace is pushing towards them, but they don't know who is doing what across the supply chain. They just see the logistics profile from the marketplace. And the second issue that they have is usually they're getting left alone with the customs brokerage side on the cross-border sale. So then they need to find a broker, or they need to deal with customs directly or with a post, and that is a nightmare, because if you're not having an integration, or if you're not having a good broker partner in that country, you're usually getting ripped off, right? So if you're paying top dollar, everything is delayed, etc. So I would say when you start selling internationally, don't leave out the logistics part. Be prepared, go and see who you want to use, who you can use in that country, because that's usually what the marketplace leaves you alone with.
It's like a minefield. I totally understand it.
And that's exactly the gap that we're filling. So we're staying as a neutral advisory, or we can see ourselves as a connector platform or orchestration layer in the middle, helping brands and retailers to sell internationally, having the direct logistics partners in country, which they can choose from per vertical.
How do you, what kind of different values, or how do you rate, or how do you actually know which partner will be good for a particular company? So
that's also part of the vetting process. And then of course, by engaging with that partner and knowing them inside out and making a deep dive. So every partner that we're having on board, no matter that will be in Latin America or Southeast Asia, we know them personally because we onboarded them personally. So we know about their strengths, we know about their setup in country. So part of the vetting process and application process is, if you now saying you're running a fulfillment center in, let's say in Chile, I will send someone there, because how would I otherwise know what the capability of the fulfillment center is? Or if they even have one, they could also tell me a storyline, right? And then do it by a third party provider or whatever, using in the end DHL anyway or something, right? So no, we're making sure so we have so-called ambassadors on every continent, and they're going out to see if they're doing the onboarding process of a new partner.
Makes sense. That's really clever. You talk a lot about sort of C2C and C2U. What do you think, how will this C2U model change the logistics and the fulfillment landscape moving forward?
I think completely. At the moment, it's the strongest growing market in e-commerce. It's projected to be by 2027, 300 billion euros worth, or US dollars maybe, but it more or less the same. See, the younger generation, they don't really want to, the Gen Z, whatever you want to call it, or now the alpha generation that comes after that, they don't really want to have people interacting with each other. So the rise of the lockers going hand in hand with the C2C business model.
Yeah.
And at the moment, the biggest growth is continental-wise seen, so Europe leading the way on that, but it will eventually go cross borders, and we see the big marketplaces for that. With whether you take Facebook Marketplace or you take Vinted or whatever, they're exploring over multiple cross borders, opening platforms in the US, opening platforms in the Middle East, and there's a good reason to it, because especially the higher value goods selling from a private individual to a private individual, that is picking up a lot. And that's why I think we will see a lot of different models there. What is interesting though is this, next to the lockers, there's also a huge rise in certain markets of other alternatively delivery methods, like drone deliveries, robot deliveries to host. The key thing from all these surveys is that the younger generation do not want to have the people interacting. They don't want to see the postman.
Do you think, because I know at some point there were like talk of drones delivering things, do you think that's still happening, or is it a bit too intrusive? Very,
very much regional differences. In China, it's already happening, and then in other parts of Southeast Asia. In the Middle East, there's a big rise. In Dubai, it's now picking up. But in Europe, I don't see that happening anytime soon, just because of all the laws and you've seen the news with the drones, and as soon as they spotted a drone somewhere, people are running nuts and getting crazy, and I can understand that. So I think with all the GDPR regulations, etc., in place in the EU, that will not really going to take place. That's my personal view, unless it's certificated by the government and they will have any chance to track it. But I can't really see that happening.
No, I can see where you're coming from. Where do you see the next sort of major opportunities and disruptions in international e-commerce and logistics?
Well, we've seen in the recent past, due to the Trump tariffs and everything he put in place, a major cargo shift from the flood of e-commerce that came from China to the US they had to move it to another market, so they were flooding Europe now, or they still do at the moment. They're flooding Latin America. And we see a massive growth in Southeast Asia. So countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, they're really picking up. Malaysia is picking up a lot, having almost 3 times. So Vietnam is now picking up, have a growth model of more than 40% on cross-border e-commerce. So those markets will rise up highly. But the biggest shift for me at the moment I see in Latin America, because the mid-shift of people getting a bit more money available on hand, and the out-of-home delivery models for reaching people in different regions outside the major cities is really picking up. And that's where I think is the next big growth phase will be there. Next to C2C, that's the biggest growth thing at the moment. But then the rest will really push up there. Is it,
you mean like shipping to Latin America and to Vietnam, or are those just sort of like points where parcels travel past to reach US and to reach? It's
parcels move directly to Latam, and then in Vietnam, the producing sector is picking up as well. It's nowhere near China, but of course, there's a lot of Chinese companies that moved into Vietnam and into Indonesia to build up factories there. So that products are not made in China anymore, right? So they're picking up a lot there as an exporting country as well. In Latam, it's just the growth of the mid-sized economy, and the other big change that we will see is that the bigger marketplaces like Temu already doing it, offering smaller sellers and retailers domestically, like in the US, for example, to sell via their platform. So basically, they're integrating local shops into their online marketplace, and that will give a huge disruption in e-commerce going forward.
And you can definitely see that there are different sellers within the platform who are not part. It's kind of like similar to Amazon in a strange way, I think. In a
different way.
In a slightly different way, I agree. So that's going to be really interesting how that's going to progress. So for young logistics and e-commerce leaders entering the industry, what's sort of like the most important mindset and skill do you think they should develop?
I think the most important one would be probably to be agile and be able and have an open mindset to change. because the market is disrupting every year. So it's changing. New players coming out of. They seem to be coming out of nowhere. I mean, if we take the Temu example again, they have been around for years, right? They've done it in China already, millions and billions of parcels. They just went internationally at some point, and people thought they're coming out of nowhere, but the fact is they already were trading in China for a long time. Now, I think it's just staying open-minded, be able and willing to travel abroad, because e-commerce in your domestic country might be already huge, but it only has the full functionality globally. And also be aware of the sustainability program, because returns and the whole reverse logistics cycle is getting more and more complex, and it's getting more and more important, especially for the brands. So if a young professional comes into it, look out for a niche that you can tap into. You won't be able to tackle it all, but if you go for a niche like C2C or like reverse logistics or cross-border trade, look for that niche to go in, because then you have a realistic chance to make a very fast career in that industry, I think.
Just pick a very specific niche and just focus in on it.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about reverse logistics. Is there anything that excites you about it? Any new development that you feel like people are trying to be more sustainable about it? Because it's obviously a huge industry.
Right, it's massive. So I've saying that for years. That is, well, next to the growth of C2C, reverse is the overall dominating topic in not only in e-commerce, in general, also in retail as we know it, but in e-commerce, of course. Cross-border is a completely different thing, though, as domestic, because you're always looking into thresholds. Every brand needs to make a dollar out of it, right? So they're looking into thresholds. At what point is it worthwhile shipping it back cross borders, or do I resell it in the domestic market? What we see is a more awareness of brands for their reputation, and also again driven by the younger generation of shoppers that want to shop from a brand where they also have the possibility of having the possibility of a free return, or return it at certain spots. So the new things that we see now is the combination of software companies in that field partnering with logistics companies to really making complete reverse models, from grading via reselling on auction platforms, etc. And for a long period of time, it only was happening in the electronic industry, because because of the value of the goods, probably. But now we see that also coming into textile. We're getting new cool stuff like a digital garment print for higher value clothes that you can track down the life cycle of like a digital passport. Yeah, exactly. So that is really picking up, and we see new technologies also to track it in terms of in the past you had RFID chips to track something, or Bluetooth low energy trackers, but now there's coming new technology on the market which where the battery lasts for a lifetime, and it makes it hopefully at some point soon cheap enough to basically take everything that you want, right? So that's going to be very interesting.
Very exciting. Okay, last question. Did you have a belief about logistics before you joined the industry that you fundamentally changed since you've been working? It's a tricky one, I know.
If it changed?
Yeah. Something that is maybe like a common misconception about logistics.
I think I underestimated the impact of politics and geopolitical discussions into the whole supply chain mix. That's when you're young and you're driving into that industry, you just think you can move things cross-border, right? Everything is possible. And then you're getting so many disruptions, and it's changing every year. That's what I meant with stay open-minded and be agile to move around. Because I lived in multiple countries working in the logistics sector and customs, and that for a good reason, because it's you have these disruptions coming up. So that I think I misunderstood. Also, what has changed is we now have academies for logistics, which haven't really been there in the past. So people of the older generation working in international logistics, they just got in there somehow, right? Nobody really went to university and said, I'm going to be working in logistics. They just ended up there, as I did. But now we're having universities funded by logistics entrepreneurs, where you can actually doing a bachelor and master degrees in logistics management, and that has changed because the big multinationals, at least, they're growing up the next generation now due to these academies and universities. On the SME sector, however, which is equated to more than 65% or 70% of all logistic companies, there is still the case that you're ending up somehow in the outgoing business.
Wow, thank you so much for your time. That was really, really insightful. Have an amazing rest of your expo.
Thank you. And you. Thank you.